Okay, this is going to be my July wrap-up. I'm going to be putting it up like a week late, but it's fine. I did the booktubeathon. That's an adequate excuse, right? I hope so. Anyways, I am going to start with my lowest rated books first and move up to the ones that I really just loved. So the lowest rated starred book that I have for this month was Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children. I gave it a 3.5 stars on my own personal scale. And I liked the book, don't get me wrong, but I think I went into the book expecting something a little bit differently, and so I got something out of it that was different than what I was expecting. I gave it a 3.5 stars, and it was one of the slowest moving books, not quite the slowest, but like the second slowest moving book up until page 127, and I remember that off the top of my head because it was such a big deal that finally something was happening. 127 pages into the book. That is like the one main reason why I am kind of rating it a little lower. I'm probably gonna get some like heat from this rating, but like, I don't know, like I was bored out of my mind and I really had to like trudge through to like get to the point where stuff started actually happening. So yeah, that was like my main issue with this book. I wanted it to move. Besides that fact, the fact that it was super slow. Hi, Evic. This book really is unique in almost every other aspect. The pictures throughout the book add like a certain feel and charm to the rest of the book. That was great. It just added something more to the book. If the pictures weren't in the book, I would have probably felt like I was missing out on something huge by the end of the book. After page 127, the characters and the plot, they shot off into outer space. They just took off after that point. You really got to feel for the characters. You really got to feel for which direction Riggs was trying to get the book to go in. It was fantastic. Riggs has a way of making really magical and peculiar characters. See what I did there? Every time you met a new character, it was a treat. Getting to know them and being able to really take in who the characters were, their special abilities, kind of their past and who they were. It was like an art form. It was fantastic. The twist towards the end of the book had me on the edge of my seat. I wasn't expecting it. It caught me off guard, and it's really hard in YA books. I think this is considered YA. It has to be, right? But yes, half the time you know what's gonna happen, and in this book I wasn't seeing it. So yes, that was a very nice change in this genre to be able to actually be caught off guard by something huge at the end of the book. I do recommend it. I haven't read really anything that's kind of scary or thrilling. It's not really my genre, and maybe that's another reason why I wasn't completely captivated by the book and story. If that's something you're into, I would definitely pick it up. My next one is Goddess by Josephine Angelini, and I am giving this book 4 stars. This is the third book to the Star-Crossed trilogy. It was probably my least favorite book of the 3. I really enjoyed book 2, which is something that's very rare for me. I always feel like it's like fillers and it's just a whole book of something you want to happen that doesn't. That did happen in book 2, but book 2 also had a completely different feel to it. The ending is probably why I'm not giving this book 5 stars. I felt like I was missing out on something. The conclusion to the story gave me zero closure, and you don't have any idea what's going to be happening with the characters. They give you a hint or a sneak peek of this might happen with a character sometime down the road, but you don't get any closure from it. And part of it just made me feel like it was unfinished. The story has more to tell. So yes, that's why I'm not giving this book 5 stars, even though I love the series. My cat just went under the blanket. Hello. Interesting. Besides the lack of ending, in my opinion, I really do love the characters. Josephine Angelini really does bring her characters to life. My favorite series is by her, the Trial by Fire series, and her characters, she's like a character goddess herself. I start to feel like I know them on a personal level, which is great, especially when you're reading a really good book to really connect with the characters. This was a reread, and I feel like I was catching things that I didn't the first time around. That's how constructed her storyline is. It gives something else, a whole different feel to her stories. And if you like a strong female lead where the character is literally the strongest character in the book, I would take a look at this series. It's a great series. I love it. So yeah, here it is. The next book is a 4-star read. A lot of my favorite booktubers have rated it 5 stars, but I just couldn't and I'm sorry, but that is The Raven Boys, Raven Cycle, Book 1 by Maggie Stiefvater. I'm giving it 4 stars. My main problem with this one is it was slow moving, like Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children, except on a totally different aspect. The beginning of the book is captivating enough to keep me interested. I didn't feel like I was completely trudging through like mud and cement. But the main characters, or the 2 main-ish characters, they don't meet until like page after 100. Like, you just wait for it and wait for it and wait for it, and it just never happens. Well, it does. And then it happens, and like, it's nothing special. I wanted like sparks or fireworks, and just, I didn't get any of it, and I just wanted it so badly. The back of the book, let me show it to you. This is all about Blue, the main character, / one of the main characters, the girl in the book. It's all about her. And so you think that she's going to be like the main focal point to the book, but she really isn't. The boys are, which I guess that's the title of the book. But like, I wanted more of Blue. I wanted more of her story, of her feelings. And like, I don't feel like I got as much as I wanted to, going in expecting a lot more of Blue and getting a lot more of the boys, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. I would have just preferred to have more Blue in the story. Another thing that Maggie Stiefvater just did a fantastic job with was taking 6 characters who were completely different from each other and meshing them together so they worked. A lot of authors, they want to have 2 completely different characters. It just clashes the whole storyline. But this series, she has, 5, the 4 boys, and then Blue. They're all completely different characters. They're all completely different human beings, if I do say so myself. I also feel like the magic system took a back seat in the book. It plays a huge part, don't get me wrong, but I feel like, I don't know if it's because it didn't play as big of a role in the book than I thought it was going to. Like, it was almost more character and relationship driven with the boys and the girl, or if it's because it's just a different sort of magic system that I'm not used to. I'm not really sure. But the magic system, I feel like it seems more like realistic. If you went to New Orleans, this is more of the magic you would see. It gave me the originals from the Vampire Diaries kind of feel. Like, it worked. And I actually kind of found it really unique and appreciated it. It's one thing that would tip this book over the edge to almost a 5-star read is the very last sentence of the book sets you up absolutely perfectly for book 2. My cat is in the closet. It's what made me buy the second book, and I'm gonna read it. I just have a lot of book to movie adaptations to read before they come out, so it's kind of on the back burner, but it's up there in my TBR. I really did absolutely love this book. Okay, this one, I wanted it to be a 5-star read. I wanted it to be a 5-star read so bad it almost hurt to give it a 4.5 stars. And that was Flame in the Mist by Renee Ahdieh. I'm probably forever gonna say her name wrong. I'm so sorry. I wanted this to be a 5-star read with every fiber of my being, but I can't do it. I can't do it. I'm so sorry. The main issue I had with this book is probably super tiny to like everyone else. And correct me if I missed it or if I'm wrong, please. And then like give me a page number to go back and enjoy what I obviously missed. But if I am not wrong, this is the sentence in the synopsis that I was waiting for. 392 pages. That clearly never showed up. Never mind her cunning or her skills as an accomplished alchemist. She's a samurai's daughter first. Okay, so apparently she's an alchemist. An accomplished one. Okay, my cats are named after Fullmetal Alchemist characters. I love the thought of alchemy, okay? I don't remember seeing it anywhere in this book. There was instances where she could have clearly used some sort of alchemy. It doesn't even have to be the Fullmetal Alchemist version of alchemy, just any alchemy. They didn't talk about it. They didn't state that she was an alchemist in her own dialogue. She never once thought it or anything. It was just non-existent. And it's the second sentence of the synopsis on the back of the book, and it just wasn't there. I'm obviously very upset about this. But like I said, if I missed it and you saw it and I'm just, insane, please point it out to me, please. So on to what I absolutely loved about this book. I have a degree in international studies with an emphasis on Asian studies, and I taught English in Japan for 3 months. Not long enough by a long shot. I loved how she used Japanese words, Japanese culture, Japanese beliefs throughout this entire book. The back of the book, I think right before the acknowledgments after the last chapter of the book, she has almost like a dictionary of all the Japanese words she used throughout the book. I loved it. I loved that whole aspect of the book. It gives kind of a YA fantasy type book, kind of like a new feel for it. It adds culture you don't always see within these books. So it was beautiful. It was beautifully written. The characters were beautiful. Yes, everything about this book is beautiful, including the cover. Look at that. It's gorgeous. The main character, she's not physically strong or magically strong. Her IQ has to be just through the roof. She uses her wits and cleverness to kind of get to where she needs to be, get what she wants, find answers. It's something you really don't see in a lot of YA fantasy type novels. Series like this, usually the main character has some huge magical ability or she's really strong. Okay, Mariko is either of these things. She's just really smart. It was refreshing. One other thing that I'm not gonna give up on it, but the love interest of Mariko is not one that I was prepared for or expecting, and it's honestly not the one I wanted, but I'm willing to give it a shot in book 2. I was just expecting something completely different, and yes, I am willing to give it a shot. I'm not going to be like, oh my god, I hate it so much, because who knows, in book 2, when the romance is probably going to blossom, because the romance in this book is almost non-existent, but it still works. Might be a little stronger in book 2 and develop into something that I can love and appreciate. I'm not giving up on it quite yet. All in all, I was very much invested in the story in this book, and I am ready for book 2, though I'm waiting for the soft cover of book 2 to come out because I need all of them to be soft covers so they match on my bookshelf, obviously. 4.5 out of 5 stars. Now I'm going to move on to my 2 5-star reads. The first one I read on my Kindle. It's a reread and my first semi-book to booktube-a-thon. I was already 78% done with it by the time booktube-a-thon started, but I finished it during booktube-a-thon, so it counts, right? Is that cheating? I don't know. But that is Storm Siren by Mary Weber. Honestly, the star ratings for this book on Goodreads isn't quite high enough. I don't know. I guess I'm just that needle in that haystack that just really enjoys a book that not a lot of other people enjoy. But honestly, I don't really have anything horribly bad to say about this book. I loved everything about it. This is also a reread for me, so I caught a few things that I didn't catch the first time and was able to kind of digest the story and characters a little bit more, and I loved it just as much as I loved reading it the first time. So some of those reviews and star ratings on Goodreads, I'm really not sure about those, so I would give it a shot, honestly. The storyline follows an elemental girl. In retrospect, she's not even supposed to exist with these powers as a female. She is actually a slave. She's been bought and sold 14 or 15 times or something. And when they're sold to a new owner, they get branded on their arm. She doesn't know how to control any of her powers, and so she's actually killed people accidentally. But she's left bodies in her wake all throughout many owners, and she has a really hard time dealing with it to this point where she's self-mutilating herself as a form of grief. So that part of the story just follows how she deals with something she can't control, good or bad. It added a whole new aspect to the story and her character specifically. She has so much stacked against her, and it's like a roller coaster ride, but like a treat to watch her character develop, how she starts letting people into her life, how she lets herself love herself or accept herself as a human being. And the side characters, they're almost as well put together as Nemiya herself as the main character. You start to love them. They're so beautifully crafted and sculpted, and you just start loving them so much. And the storyline, it evolves right along with the characters, so you kind of get the whole package all the way through the book, and it's fantastic. Though the ending had me in tears both times, literally crying, which I don't remember crying the first time until I was crying the second time, and I go, oh yeah, this happened. And then I was choking, I was all choked up inside. But yeah, it pulls at your heartstrings. So I need anyone to read this book. This is one of the books where I've read and I know no one else who has ever read it. I want someone to read it too. Okay, the last book is Harry Potter, book 1. So Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone by J.K. Rowling. I feel like I've missed out on so much reading this book only now at age 25 for the first time. Like, I missed out on a lot. This book is so much more magical than even the movie, which is kind of hard to imagine. I find myself getting so excited for like the next scenes and just loving all the scenes that weren't in the movie, and there were parts of the movie that I'm really upset I missed out on them without even knowing I missed out on them until I read the book. There's things that I found myself really upset that they took out or changed in the movie from the book because it was either really heartwarming or funny or just a huge part of the story. They changed more than necessary for the movie. Don't get me wrong, the Harry Potter series is still going to be one of my favorite movie collections of all time. But the book I found myself smiling at parts of this book out of just pure joy because it really is just a piece of art. This right here, it's just a piece of art. It's beautiful. And I feel like Harry's family, or lack thereof, was a lot more pronounced in the book. There were parts of the book that really just highlighted on the fact that he had no one, that the movie didn't. And I feel like it really added to the feel of the book and kind of Harry's character and kind of who he was, that I really just wish they wouldn't have cut out. In like really simple things, like when he finds the magic mirror. I don't remember what it's called. I'm obviously not a Die Hard fan. Don't hate me. But there was that scene in the book it was a lot different than the scene in the movie, but it would have been just so easy to replicate. So incredibly easy, and if you haven't read it, I'm not going to tell you about it. Like, it's just examples like that where it just would have added to the feel of the scene and movie and the character of Harry. And I feel like the book just encompasses more around Harry and his loss and kind of goes from there, where the movie it pushes Harry into the new world a little bit more and kind of his new relationships that he's making with his friends and his teachers and stuff like that. And yeah, so I feel like the book, it focuses a little bit more on his past than the movie does, and I would have liked to see a little bit more of that in the movie. But I know this isn't like a book to movie adaptation review. It's just my thoughts on the topic. But all in all, I cannot say enough good things about this book because it was beautiful, and I can't wait to read the second book. I own the entire series and have for like 15 to 20 years now. It's fine. But like I said earlier, I do have a lot of book to movie adaptations to read this month. I think 3 of them. So I will get to this. It's just after my book to movie adaptations, it is very high up on my priority list, my TBR priority list. But so far, it's just here. Thank you for watching. Comment down below any thoughts you might have, any tips and tricks on wrap-up videos for me. I was trying to be a little bit more in depth with my detail of how much I liked the books and what I read, instead of just kind of telling you what I read and how I liked it. I hope I did well, and yeah, if anything, just tell me what you think. Okay, bye!